Welcome back to Cooking in the Kitchen with Dani. So today I'm going to make what I would consider like a fast food, and it's called cream biscuits. They're basically like homemade biscuits. They're the simplest thing you could possibly make. Um, just a few ingredients, and they come together. You don't need any special equipment to do them. I'm literally going to do them with a bowl, measuring spoons, a spatula, and biscuit cutters. And you don't even really need biscuit cutters. So we're going to make cream biscuits today, and I'm dedicating this episode to my tap dance friends Sharon and Wendy, who asked for something simple. This is like homemade biscuits are so easy and so fast, and anybody literally can make them, and they're so much better than anything you can get in the store, and you probably have almost every single thing you need already in your pantry. We're going to use basically unbleached flour, same stuff that I always use from Costco. We're going to use a cup and a half of cream, 2 teaspoons of sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and a half a teaspoon of salt. And that's really all there is to it. So let's get cooking. I'm gonna change the camera so you can see me mixing it all up. It literally comes together in just a few seconds. We're gonna cut them out. We're gonna put the biscuits on. I have a baking sheet prepared with just a piece of parchment paper on it. A lot of times I've done these, you can do them in a pie pan or whatever, a cake pan. Be creative. You've probably got the tools in your kitchen. I've been cooking for a lot of years, and I've slowly amassed all the tools that I could possibly use. So already before we get started, I've turned the oven on to 450 degrees. I've put the rack in the just above the center setting of my oven, so it's the upper middle. It's considered in an oven. So let's get started. Okay, I'm going to turn this camera down so you can see what I'm doing. Here on the counter, I have my flour. Okay, here we're going to get going. We're going to start with 2 cups of flour. I always use the scoop and sweep method just to measure my flour. So since I'm using a half cup measuring cup, I'll use 4 of them. 2, 3, 4. So literally, you'll be stunned how fast this comes together. So, 2 cups of flour. I've got my teaspoons of sugar. There, 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And I kind of use the scoop and sweep method here too. 1, 2, a little bit more because that was a little bit chunky in there. And a half a teaspoon of salt. So 2 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and a half a teaspoon of salt. And we're just going to mix that all together. Let's kind of just stir it together like that. And this just literally couldn't be any easier. We're going to pour in 1.5 cups of heavy cream. This is like whipping cream. The genius thing about these biscuits is you don't have to worry about having butter and cutting it in and then doing all that other fancy stuff. These literally just come together in seconds. So we're just going to stir this up. And the trick with any quick bread like this is to do the minimal amount of mixing. The more you mix it, the tougher it gets. So we're just going to kind of bring it together in a just nice and gently here in the bowl. And once we get it together, there we go. Just be really, just be thoughtful with it. Comes together in kind of a nice rough dough. And so then I'm going to take a little bit more flour, sprinkle it out here on my nice clean counter, and then I'm going to dump this dough right out onto it, just like that. I'm taking my rings off for this just because I don't want anything to get stuck in them. Okay, so here we have our rough dough out on the counter. We barely worked it at all, so we're not developing the gluten and making them tough. Okay, so I just sprinkle a little bit more flour on my hands and over the top of it, and then I'm just going to start bringing it together really quickly. You're going to knead it quickly into just till it forms into a shape, just like that. That's all you have to do, that fast. And we're just gonna pat it out until it's about a little bit thicker than 1/2 inch, just like that. Nice circle. It's pretty. It's like, hold on, make sure that's not sticking to the counter. There we go. Okay, then I'm going to take a biscuit cutter, and you don't need a fancy biscuit cutter. You can use, for years and years, I used things like an old soup can, obviously washed and cleaned, or a juice glass, just any shape or size you want. And we're just going to cut these biscuits out. Just cut a biscuit, pop it out. We're going to set them right over here on our cookie sheet. I'll show you in just a minute. So the first ones you cut are the best, and then we're going to take the remainder of the dough and put it together and make the final biscuits. I like my biscuits a little bit higher than, so I'm probably making them a little bit thicker than the recipe called for. This recipe, I think they say that it makes 6 or 8 biscuits. I think this is just enough for a quick dinner for a family of 2 to 4. You're just going to get your nice biscuits. So here we have, I'm going to get 6 biscuits out of this. And you just got to put them together on the cookie sheet. Working this obviously as little as possible. You want it about as thick as the other ones. There we go. There's our final biscuit. And here we have just this. Let's see if my lighting will work a little bit better for you. Can you see them? I just have 6 biscuits. I put them on the parchment paper right on the cookie sheet. A lot of times I just put them in a pie pan because it keeps them more rounded. I'm in the oven 450 for 15 minutes, and I will show you when they come out. Okay, it's been 15 minutes, and here's our beautiful biscuits straight out of the oven. We've got the 6 biscuits. Set that down. And so let me show you just exactly how beautiful these biscuits are. So there it is. I'm going to use a different knife to split this open. They're so hot. I've got my butter ready. But look at this perfect biscuit. Just fluffy and delicious. Just needs a little bit of butter on it. And you're ready to go. So there you go. Fast food. Delicious cream biscuits come together in less than 5 minutes. Take 15 minutes to cook. So it's truly a fast food. As with anything, when you're cooking in the kitchen, you can certainly be creative. A lot of times I'll add 1/2 teaspoon to a teaspoon of fresh herbs to the biscuits. Dill biscuits, if you're having something light and refreshing, like cheese and ham on your biscuits. You may want to add a 1/2 cup of cheddar cheese and some cayenne pepper to your dough if you want spicy, cheesy biscuits. If you do add the cheese, add a couple minutes extra to the cooking time. So think about cooking your biscuits for about 18 minutes then to get perfect biscuits every time in less than 30 minutes from start to finish. So there you have it. delicious cream biscuits. And this has been another episode of Cooking in the Kitchen with Dani. Thank you for coming along.